Alrighty, guys. It is 3:30. Time to wrap it up for today. It is December 1st, 2025. So first day of December, and we are looking at the market, which is holding on to the gains. This morning, this overnight was pretty little squirrely. It was on the way down. Pretty good momentum to the downside to get started. So it felt very much like, oh, come on, there you go. It felt very much like we are going to run it down here and potentially take out that 6,800, but it held. 6,800 held in the overnight. We never really got a good test of it in the day session. Yes, ran it down here to the 6,810s, and that was it. So I'm going to start off with a slight bias to the upside, the way we're looking at it right now. See, looking to buy weakness against that 6810, 6800 rotations up, and looking for momentum to the upside. Now, looks like we ran into that mode here from Friday, and that turned into be it in terms of resistance. We never got up here to the highs, but I'm thinking long side of the market. I thought with this overnight we'll get a lot more weakness, but it looks very much like we were sitting here that the bulls are holding on to this, maybe for dear life, but they are holding on to it. So that we have it. News for tomorrow. We do have. We know actually no news to drive the market tomorrow. We had news on Wednesday, but tomorrow we had no news to drive it. So starting off on the long side, going into the overnight, looking to buy weakness against the 6830s. Well, that's kind of where we're trading right now against that 6800s. May adjust this level down a little bit here, down to that. You see that lower L print for that ledge at the 23, so maybe drag it down a little bit. We're looking to buy against that lower support area and the 6810, 6800s for rotations back up again. I did take one more trade on the ES, and that was over here when we had this rotation up. They started running it hard down. I kind of missed this whole thing on the downside. I'm watching it and seeing like, okay, it came out at 2 o'clock. It started like at clockwork, right? At 2 o'clock, they started nailing it, and they absolutely no recourse, right straight down. The Nasdaq straight back down to the mean. And then they started retracing it. And against that tablet, when they ran it up here, pretty hard reversal right up to that rotation. I got aggressively short right at the edge and pocketed a nice $20 trade on that one. And that was it. So I got out fairly early. I mean, what you see, you ran into it, it bounces right off it, straight back down. And you're not expecting a total fade. It could just as well keep going higher. So on that little bounce down, you had to get your profit. So I'm up 22 now on two trades on the ES. And that's kind of left it there. Now, NASDAQ was right here to the mean, but that was a little bit too crazy for me to want to get on. That was moving pretty good. So I kind of just stepped away from that one. Didn't try to trade that. But definitely on the NASDAQ side of things, we were also in pretty good shape. Holding on to this ledge. Oh, come on. There you go. Holding that together. And here you can see we are looking at they were down here against that 220s. They were well below the 360 edge here in the morning and throughout most of the morning. And now in the afternoon, we're holding above it. So I'm staying on the long side on the NASDAQ to get started. We're going to buy weakness. I'm probably going to put the edge down here at the 320s and then a little bit lower at the 260s and then down here at the 200s. So, but if it starts trading below that 200 ledge, then we are heading back down again. So starting off from the long side, looking to buy weakness. I'll probably look at least these two for the first two against that the 320s and the 260s, and the two I would be more aggressive on. Below that one, a little bit less aggressive. Let's see if we're going to try to take it higher. So that's and on the way up, looking for short up to the. You have a potential here at the 430. I'm going to have to re-examine that again, but definitely an edge here at the 490s. I'm thinking that we may have a shot, unless they sell off into the close. We may have a shot at this holding on to the holding on and potentially starting driving this higher. So maybe we're going to get our Santa rally after all. So both ES and the Nasdaq held on to support, and they managed to hold the upper levels so far. We're not out of it yet. We still have a half hour to go, so we could very well be finding ourselves in a spot where the retraces right into the close. So head back down again, but I'm going to stay optimistic at least for now and say as long as I hold above that 340, 360 edge, definitely staying on the long side. And on the ES, as long as I hold above that the 6810 here, going to stay on the long side. So that's how we get started on both these going into the overnight. On the Nasdaq, I had a few that's 15 round turns, and most of it happened. I had some last night, and I have a little bit midday here, but back and forth, a little scalping back and forth, and so up 55 on that one. And then most of the trades has been like, yeah, go. I mean, you've got a short here, nice little short, small trade. Now, I didn't try to go for big amounts, so I have a fairly aggressive break-even trade. So getting in there, getting a little bit out of it, and if I don't see if it looks like it's stalling and it's not going, and then I'll just get out of it because it's if you get in there and they retrace it back, they'll just shake you out of the trade pretty quick. So I'm looking at little momentum play, either on the way up or on the way down. On the way up, I'm going to be a lot. I had to be really careful about it because that's usually what gets you caught. Same thing here, little momentum play to the upside. It took out that prior rotation, started heading higher, and I got in and got out for it. Took like $10 out of that trade. That's about it. Now I could have sat in that trade for a little bit longer, but then you see on this next bar, most likely would have shaken me out of that trade. So that's the danger of that stuff. So um, if you want to trade with a bigger stop, I mean, if I see an opportunity where I had to move my stop, I'll just move my stop and make it bigger if I need to. But I'm just starting off now at 60 ticks, so making my stop a lot smaller. So when I'm wrong, I lose less. Going to probably get a few more break evens or shake out trades, but then again, a little bit more aggressive on the exit. So if it's volatile, goes back and forth, and you just get out a little bit early. A couple of more trades and then maybe stay on a reasonably positive side. So I'm up 22 on the ES on 2 trades. I'm up 55 on the Nasdaq on 15. And there is I think 1 or 2 losers as well. So I had to make that back. And then the final on the bonds, that was a debacle this morning. Not necessarily bad trades, but it just did not work. So, and you had this move to the downside. So usually you don't get the big move like that out of nowhere. So today was one of those days where they actually moved the market right down here to the to the 1605s. And I tried a long trade right here at that first ZA failure, that support at the 16s. And that didn't work for tick loser. And I tried another on that retest failure at the open, and that turned into almost a scratch. But it's after I got in, I tightened up my stop because it was starting to move higher, and then he just nailed it, ran right back down again, and it stopped me out and a couple of more ticks. So if I left my 4-tick stop, I would have been even bigger loser. But I'm down 187 on those 2 trades. So then I stopped. So I tried to make anything back on that one. On the bond market, that you had to be really cautious. So you can get in and out of that one. You just add up a lot of money on the wrong column if you're not careful. I was thinking about a short here against the Tablet, but then again, it's not. It's short should be against that 12 instead that rotation, and that would have been a couple of ticks of heat before that started working. But you see, it didn't work for a while. You had to sit in that trade before you get a couple of ticks of profit. That would have been awful. So anyway, so that's the bonds for you. I'm going to start off with a slight bias to the downside. You can see how this skew is to the downside. So looking at potentially move lower. And then let's see if they're going to take that out. Now, if they can't take out this 1605s, then we're just going to be probably rotating back up here towards the 117s. But watching that single print A, if they take out the 15s, then I'm going to look for a retracement trade at that point. All right, so that's the bonds. Yeah, that's the bonds. Let's get back to the ES and NASDAQ and pretty much leave those as they are. Not much else to say. They're kind of flopping around like sideways. So we'll see if we get a strong close here or not, but that's kind of how we get started. Alrighty, guys, we'll leave it there. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you guys back in the morning. Later.